When she asked whose emergency contact she should put down for surgery, I told her, "Put me." The way she looked at me, I'll never forget it. I met Lauren at the animal shelter where I volunteered every Saturday morning. She was there alone on a Tuesday afternoon, crouched down by the cage of a three-legged orange tabby that had been there for 8 months. Everyone passed him by. She didn't. "You thinking about taking him home?" I asked. She looked up. "Someone has to." We talked for 20 minutes while she filled out the adoption papers. She asked if the cat would need special care. I told her he just needed someone patient. She smiled and said, "I can do patient." I asked her to coffee the next week, then dinner, then weekend hikes with her now very spoiled three-legged cat, who she named Russell after the kid from Up because he reminded her of an old adventurer who refused to quit. 6 months in, we were at her apartment when she mentioned it casually. We were making pasta and she was telling me about her childhood dog when she said, "My parents would have loved Russell. They died in a car accident when I was 19. I stopped stirring the sauce. "I'm so sorry." She shrugged. "No siblings either. And my ex-husband got the friend group in the divorce, so." She said it the same way someone might say they ran out of milk, like it was just another fact. "That must be lonely. You get used to it." She grabbed plates from the cabinet. "Anyway, Russell likes you, so that's something." I didn't push it, but I noticed things after that. How she never mentioned calling anyone when her car broke down. How she spent holidays volunteering at soup kitchens. How her phone barely rang. 3 months later, at 2:47 a.m., mine did. "Hey, sorry to wake you." Her voice was tight, strained. "I think something's really wrong." I was out of bed before she finished the sentence. "I'm coming." She lived 15 minutes away. I made it in 9. She was on her couch, pale, clutching her right side. One look at her face and I knew we weren't waiting for morning. "We're going to the ER." "I don't want to overreact." "Lauren, now." The hospital waiting room was nearly empty at 3 a.m. Fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic, a janitor mopping the far corner. Lauren filled out forms while doubled over in pain, and I wanted to fill them out for her, but she insisted she could do it. Then she stopped, stared at one line. Emergency contact name and phone number. "I don't..." She looked at the blank space. I usually just leave it blank. The pen was shaking slightly in her hand. "Put me." She looked up. Her eyes were red-rimmed, wet. "We've only been dating 6 months. Put me down." "That's not... People don't just..." "Lauren." I took the pen from her hand, set it down on the clipboard, and looked at her directly. "Put my name and number down." The nurse at the desk was pretending not to listen. Lauren picked up the pen again. Her hand shook harder as she wrote my name in careful letters. Then my phone number. They took her back 20 minutes later. "Appendicitis, emergency surgery." The surgeon said if she'd waited until morning, it would have ruptured completely. When they wheeled her toward the operating room, she grabbed my wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Why would you do this?" Her voice cracked. "You barely know me." I squeezed her hand. "Because nobody should go into surgery alone." She held on for another second. Then the nurse gently pulled the gurney forward, and she disappeared behind 2 swinging doors. I sat in that waiting room for 3.5 hours, drank 4 cups of terrible coffee, watched the sun come up through the small window. A couple came in with their kid who'd broken his arm. An old man arrived in an ambulance. Normal people with emergency contacts who loved them. When they finally let me back, Lauren was awake but groggy. Her hair was messy. There was an IV in her arm, and she looked so small in that hospital bed. The first thing she said, voice hoarse, "You stayed." "Of course I stayed." She started crying. Not sad crying, something else. That was 4 years ago. Last week I filled out hospital forms for a routine procedure. Under emergency contact I wrote, "Lauren, my wife."